starting late. So open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Still trying to chase my wife down to get that good haircut I need, so apologize. I feel like borrow something from Houston.
Looks great. You get hair back next time.
All right. Minutes from the previous meeting. Christina is trying this new, this is her second attempt at a new approach here, a little more detail. And I know she spends a little bit more time doing this, but it leaves a good record of what we're doing and how we're doing things. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting?
Motion to accept the meetings.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, amendments, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes passed. Okay. We have, let's see what we have here. We have, we'll go through into our consultant update. We do have an update from our local consultant, East Tennessee Development District. I was hoping he's here. Oh, he's on the screen? Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Okay. We will get an update from him. All right. Ida?
I would just add there, I've actually, Kevin and I met last week, and I've incorporated his Gantt chart update into my slideshow.
Okay,
So
all right, awesome.
it's
That's what I was
Mr. Sheriff
looking for.
will co-present.
Okay, great, perfect. All right, table, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Let me load up my screen here. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations on an absolutely stunning Christmas parade. I wish we could go there in person, but I enjoyed checking it out online. For our update today, I really want to share with you a little about where we are at in the process, share with you our vision statement that we're working on with your support and buy-in. Kim with ETDV is with us today and will be walking through a Gantt chart with a timeline of what to expect over the next 5 months. We'll share a little more about what to expect in the process and then close out. So a nice short and sweet update for you all this afternoon. So firstly, we have completed phase 1, which was our initial research and project launch, for summer 2024, and phase 2 of community engagement. We feel like that was a really successful engagement process. Thanks so much to the community for a huge public turnout, attendance at the open house, and then engaging with us on a few different levels, with a few different small group conversations. From here, I'll keep this on the screen, and I'm happy to read this for you, or Mr. Chair, if you'd like to share this with the group, just to ensure everybody has a clear audio of the draft vision statement, that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, I moved away, so I'm downwind here. You want me to read the draft vision statement?
Yes,
Before,
please.
right? Okay, all right. What's up on the screen here? We, the citizens, small business owners, and leaders of Townsend, cherish our small town charm and the natural beauty that surrounds us. We value clean water, clean air, mountain views, dark night skies, and the simple pleasures of life. Our vision is to protect the heritage while embracing throughout development, thoughtful development that respects our environment and enhances our quality of life. We will preserve the peace and serenity that defines Townsend, safeguarding our pristine landscapes, clean water, pure air, and dark night skies. We will protect the natural habitats that enrich our lives, ensuring a balanced and thriving ecosystem for generations to come. We will nurture a close-knit community where residents feel a strong sense of belonging, connection, and support. We will welcome visitors to share in the beauty and tranquility of Townsend, inviting them to experience the peaceful side of the Smokies responsibly and respectfully. We will foster a vibrant local economy that supports homegrown businesses and provides opportunities for all to prosper. We will embrace thoughtful and measured development that enhances our community without compromising its character or natural resources. We will create infrastructure and amenities that benefit both residents and visitors, promoting accessibility, walkability, bikeability, and access to outdoor recreation. We will celebrate our rich cultural heritage, honoring the ancient people of the coast, the Cherokee and the European settlers who shaped Townsend's history, showcasing their stories through museums, trails, and interpretive displays. We envision a future where Townsend remains a peaceful respite for residents and visitors, a base camp for recreational opportunities, and an enduring community for generations to come.
Thank you very much. This has been a really good process to co-create this vision statement together. As a result of the initial survey, these core elements really emerge strongly in many aspects of what the community and the CPAC Committee provided in terms of what is important to you all, what is of the essence. And it was my job to take that back and help to craft multiple versions, which we've been workshopping, but craft that in a way that feels actionable, that looks to the future, and that is representative of the community that you will have now and want to have in the future. So I'd like to thank the full community for that, and turn it over. Dave, we've got a few options as to how we would move forward with the CPAC Committee and making sure that we have continued buy-in and opportunities to present to leadership over the next month.
Mayor, you want to have anything to interject? We'll move on to Kim.
Well, I'll just say that I'm very pleased with this draft vision statement. I'm especially pleased with the process. As you all heard me say, the process wasn't as important as the product. They're both important. And so I really believe that this reflects a lot of the input that we got from our community in drafting this vision statement. It is a draft vision statement because nothing will be final until we get to the end of the process and it's adopted by the Planning Commission. But this is the work, the concepts, I think, that will guide our work through the rest of this activity to update our community plan. So I'm very pleased with where we landed, and sincere thanks to all the hard work to get that input. So I recognize it was quite a lift and an effort, but I'm pleased with the product so far.
Committee, any comments?
Yeah, I was curious if we could kind of walk through what to take this from draft to finalized vision, if you can kind of give all of us an idea of what the next steps are and where we're taking it from there, just so everyone in the room's aware.
Yeah, so the vision statement will be part of the community plan. So in the current land use and transportation plan, there is a section up front that really talks about what are those concepts that are important for land use, transportation, and all those development policies that are highlighted. And so it will become part of the plan. And as we update the rest of the sections, remember that the direction from the Planning Commission is to update our existing plan. Each of those sections will be updated, and eventually it will be presented again, I think, to the community. So as we get near the end, there'll be an opportunity for the community to look at, and we'll kind of walk through, as we have with the vision statement, but in quite some more detail about what's in the plan. There'll be an opportunity for additional community feedback. And then once it's near final, it will be presented to the Planning Commission for their adoption. And then the Planning Commission will recommend this, as they do, to the Board of Commissioners, and they will endorse it as well. And then it will begin to inform how we proceed with a number of our development activities after that. So recalling, in this community plan, there's a section on policies, and then there's a section on implementation. And it will fall on the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners to be able to actually implement it, so that it's not just a document on the shelf.
Cool, so does that mean that this draft vision statement will remain a draft until we're all the way through the end of this process, and then will basically be adopted with any updates that we have to all the updates, or do we have an interim approval of this from the Board of Commissioners or from the Planning Commission that kind of makes sure we're on the right path? I'm just curious what that middle step is, if there is any.
Yeah, I would suggest that as part of the community plan update, this will go back to the Planning Commission and to the Board of Commissioners, for their, additional input. But at a certain point, we do have to sort of conclude this exercise and then move on with the other parts of the exercise. But you're right, Houston. So it'll be presented, I would guess, as the next community update to the Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, great. So I remember when we were talking about this in August, one of the parts of the draft vision statement was that we had it now, and that's going to guide us basically through the next 6 months or so. And then everything kind of comes back up again for, call it like calibration, before we go to present it to the Planning Commission and then recommend it up. So I just wanted to be clear about that process, that we don't go to get approval for this now, but rather we have it, we work with it, and then it gets kind of called reevaluated in May or June or July or later on in the process, so that we make sure that something drastic hasn't changed in 6 months or something.
That's right, and that's really the importance of having those community plan updates at each and every Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners meeting, so that we stay together on the same page. If there's feedback that they need to provide, they'll provide that along the way. Thank you. Brian.
And that will be at the next planning, January. And I guess the commissioners meeting tonight, we can make sure that they all have one of those documents in their packet.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, just for light input or whatever. All right, let's head over to Kim. I'm excited to, because I'm a construction guy, get this Gantt chart on the horizon.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. And Houston, thank you for your questions. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your advice and alignment there. We're in lockstep on these pieces. I will share that these elements, which are the core of the vision statement development, were presented to the community at the open house meeting and were voted on by those 100 people with some notes that have been adapted and edited to reflect the needs of the community, as well as the November Planning Commission meeting. So we hope that this work will continue to be very familiar to the leadership and the community as this moves forward. And from here, I'm going to turn it over to Kim from ETDD to help walk us through what to expect over the next 5 months.
Kim, are you there?
And if we can't hear, I have notes as well. I'm happy to walk through this on his behalf.
Why don't you go ahead and start, Ida, and we'll see if Kim can unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you
I
go.
can now, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I'm attending on via my phone because I was driving home and I got here just moments ago. So I had, as Ida had mentioned, I discussed it with her what we're going to be doing for the next 5 months. And the gist of it is that we are going to be looking through subdivision regs, the zoning ordinance, and the land use plan. And we will then be working to organize some focus groups and or workshops, however the community chooses to do that. regarding our review of those documents, such that it will not simply function as a plan on the shelf, but it will be a toolbox on how to revisit it, among other things. For example, issues dealing with definitions, something that has plagued the process so far. The immediate near-term community engagement will revolve around the data that we collected. I showed that to Ida. We want to make sure that we have narratives to accompany the data so that we don't simply are not just giving you tables and graphs and charts that say nothing about how it basically it reveals a narrative, a portrait of what Townsend is, such that the town can then think things through as to what they would like to have done in light of what they look like. And that information will then also inform the zoning ordinance, among other things. So, as I mentioned a couple of times or more, we've been working with the UT Data Center. It has been submitted to them. I got an email late this afternoon saying that they will not be able to meet with us before the close of the year. I guess, as you all well know, the holiday season compromises everything for that matter. So in early January, we'll be meeting with them to develop that narrative so that we can then have a workshop and a focus group with different stakeholders. Those stakeholders will include CPAC, will include the Planning Commission, will include the Board of Zoning Appeals, and it will also include the City Council. For each of these processes, we suggest that they be fully public, and for any stakeholders that would want to come in, besides the ones I've mentioned, City Council, Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, we can wrap that into the CPAC process so that they can also attend that particular meeting, because this is basically data at large about what the community looks like. And we want to make sure we get the decision makers in on the front end so that they understand the context and the responsibility they will have to make when they decide or need to back up what decisions they decide upon. So that's basically in a nutshell what it's all about. I have already shared copies of the Gantt chart, so and it creates a whole bunch of footnotes. I don't want to laboriously go through each of those footnotes, but I also first invite Ida to add her 2 cents to what we have discussed one-to-one, to see how, she also sees it, because they will also be using it to inform what content actually gets into the final report. And if you have any questions, I'm open to entertaining them.
Thank you very much, Akim. Just a quick note, thank you to you and your team. It's been a joy to work with you thus far, and we look forward to actually getting our GIS teams will be meeting on February 13th to kick off this additional research process. A reminder about the kind of scope of our work from this past summer. ETDB and Akim and his team will really be leading kind of this next phase, this plan development research phase, and SE Group will be kind of allowing them to lead that and acting as a supporting role through this next phase of the process. So Akim, thank you for your leadership and for your team's expertise, and we continue to share data, information, and reference documentation for other communities that we're working with who are dealing with similar challenges to the City of Townsend. So thank you there. I'll open it up for questions about the next few months.
Yeah, Ida, and this might even be for Kim and obviously the committee. I see, this kind of goes along with Houston's reference to the draft for the vision statement. I see the second line of zoning, there's an X in every month, obviously, but at the end, the deliverable says initial drafts. And I want to have a discussion, if need be, that we don't end up with a big pile of paper at the end of April to wade through the zoning. I would love to take this a month at a time and have ETDD develop a presentation of zoning recommendations that they're working through so we can work along with planning and the commissioners and the committee. Any comments?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the workshops and or the focus groups is at the points where this will be happening. So it wouldn't be something that happens at the end where you'll be getting basically a document done, but it will be something that through those 4 months, you would be participating in focus groups and or workshops to address the things that we come up with regarding the zoning ordinance, the subdivision rates, and their land use plan.
Do you see
So,
this happening
to be-
monthly, Kim?
Yeah, sorry, say that again?
Do you see this happening monthly on a regular basis?
I can't say as of now. On the 30th, our team is meeting to discuss how we want to sequence that. So after that meeting we have on the 30th, I should be better equipped to give you something that will not be ephemeral or tentative. So that meeting has been scheduled for the 30th, and after that meeting I can better tell you how we plan to actually sequence that, those steps. through-
Okay, will you put this, when you are meeting with your committee, your team there, will you make mention that we would like to be, we'd like to see the progress and like to have this scheduled, love to see a month to month. So we
Okay,
can
sounds
work through this, yeah.
Excellent. And I'm happy to assist with those elements too. I think kind of, again, your strategy of having 1 or 2 of those workshops with key leaders, and for our part here with the CPAC Meeting meetings to ensure that on a monthly basis, the corresponding action items seems deliverable and safe for review. And then at these presentations, public presentations, I'm happy to share with you and your team's support, similar to this Gantt chart, an update as part of my report out to give kind of a bullet point, phase by phase update or strategy to the full committee about what's been decided or what's progressing for that individual month.
Well, my concern is it's a pretty large document, and I'd rather eat the elephant one bite at a time, please.
Yep, understood.
Anybody else on the committee have any questions before we move on? Christina?
I am curious what the footnotes are. I'm not sure.
Okay, let's back up to that. Ida, can you give a quick note or a Kim to explain those footnotes in brief, if possible?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, just go ahead.
So I'm happy to share this document out further, and it might even be there printed, again, from planning commission meetings. If it's okay with the group, I will follow up this call with an email to the full CPAC committee with the PDF document that I can provide with me that has the additional notes for everybody to review.
And like I mentioned, I already submitted it at the last planning commission meeting to Gala. So Gala has copies of it, and that's something that it will be distributed. So I can also follow up with Gala to make sure that she can, have it available for people to pick up. And I can also, after this call, also email it out. I think I already did that, but I should double check. So I can't really, my memory doesn't reward me in terms of me confidently saying that. But I have submitted a copy of that to the city via the planning commission members and also via Gale.
Excellent. And Tina will make sure that you get a copy. Kim, if you send that back out, please CC me. And if not, I will probably follow back up with the committee.
Yeah, please, in the process of, I understand the priority of emailing to the city, but as it's CPAC related, please keep us in the loop. I would appreciate that.
Of course.
Sure.
Okay, hang on one second. Any other committee members?
Got one thing
Go ahead.
for Kim generally,
Okay.
just, Kim, are you waiting on anything from us? I know that, you and
Yes,
Ed have asked
yes.
us and stuff, can you just give us an idea of what we need to comment on for you?
Thank you. I've sent out twice before some feedback about your historic resources because our historic preservation planner would like to know what exactly your interests are so she can also begin the process of providing some strategy and a plan for whatever historic resources you want to feed into the CPAC process. So if you could please go back to your emails. I sent it out twice, and if you could all, as a committee, meet and give me some feedback. I can only second guess what those things might be. Anything from the Dolly Theatre to your archaeological resources dealing with, as Dave mentioned, with you wanting to preserve and celebrate the pioneers, both the native settlers and the people who moved into the area. So all those sort of things, from anything from the timber industry to the railroad museum to whatever else, we want to know what the interest is of the community so that the historic preservation planner can begin to work on studying and addressing that for your needs for CPAC.
Quick question to Kim. Can you follow back to the origination of that email? And I'm looking at the committee members and we can't find it in anybody's.
I have.
You have it, Christina?
I,
Was it emailed to you?
it's emailed, yeah. It might have been.
It was emailed to get to
Oh, mine is just a couple of us.
Dave.
Okay.
the community, yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
Kim, if I could ask you, just kind of given the kind of holiday season that is upon us, if you have time to share your current list of historic elements, so historic assets in the city of Townsend, and that way the committee has a chance to workshop them together.
No, I would prefer that comes directly from them rather than me suggesting what they should think or what they want. So as I'm saying, I'm just second guessing. I know of the Dolly Parton Theatre, I would say call it Dolly Parton Theatre, but that theatre, I don't know what significance the Abbey has. I don't know what significance the Bethel Church has. I would like to know more about what archaeological resources are in the community. Somebody locally will be able to do that. I would just be either second guessing or biasing what they might want to think or they might want in terms of their. So I would rather they sit through as a CPAC committee and roping, as I mentioned before, the lady who really works for the Heritage Center and whomever else, and then give me a short list of, what they would want us to begin some study on.
Yeah, thanks, Kim.
Okay.
And another quick follow-up, just look, as I've reading through your different emails and listening to you talk about working through the existing land use and transportation document and then, changing this or scrubbing that, can we ask that is done on either like track changes or in like a comparative different color? I figure that's gold standard anyway, but I just wanted to verbalize it that we've requested that like we'd be able to look at existing land use and then look at future land use and be able to quickly see what has been changed without having to, have it side by side.
Oh, for sure. I've already began doing that, and all the scrubbing I'm doing is basically tracking changes in certain comments, and it will not be something that I will just give you a document, not detailing what you had and what we thought and where we think we should go. So part of those team meetings and ETEC will be to basically react to my initial reading, scrubbing, analysis of those documents.
Cool, thank you.
And you'll get a copy of those documents as we have reviewed them.
Great, thank you.
Maybe?
Yeah. And out of that, we will structure then the workshops and or the focus groups to chew on those things so that each of the committee plus the decision makers most especially know what where's all these recommendations come from for them to make decisions.
Okay, hang on. Any more committee questions, Mayor?
Yeah, thanks to Kim. Really appreciate outlining this process on the Gantt chart. I think that's useful. I see a number of tasks here that sound like they would be useful. Some of these things are new. But importantly, and I think it was, you just answered my question, but importantly, the aim of the project is to update our current land use and transportation plan. So there's already an existing structure, and I think it would be useful as we go sort of section by section through that plan to be able to see, what some of those suggested changes are. And then, as the chairman mentioned, taking it sort of one bite at a time. So as you look through that plan, and this is probably an opportunity, I think, for all the community members and citizens. It's online. Take a look at that plan and be real familiar with it, because I think the basic structure will probably stay the same. Maybe we add a new section or something, but it's a very common structure that's used in planning. So there's the data section that's up front, then there's the land use and development policies, and then there's an implementation plan. So we'll continue to use that same structure, and as the committee sort of reviews and provides comments and works through it and takes into account, the outputs from these various tasks, we need to keep focused on the end goal. So the end goal is a update of the land use and transportation plan. We're calling it our community plan. And we need to have it generally at a certain stage, probably, and I think the next slide is probably going to start to talk about next steps. By the time, late spring, so that over the course of the summer, we've got something for folks to react to and have those public sessions and stuff in the summer. And then by late summer, early fall maybe, we have sort of that finalized input that will then come back to the Planning Commission for adoption. So.
Now, let me add one more thing. If we are to do the corridor study, which I have recommended be done, that is one process that will detach itself from the CPAC process, where we will not have the same timeline, because that will be something that would come under the funding, supervision, and oversight of TDOT. So it will be like, let's say we have a spacecraft that is CPAC, the CPAC process. At some point, the corridor study will detach from it and remain in the same orbit, but because that will be something that TDOT would fund, that's something that TDOT would engage an engineering firm to do. And so I just wanted to get people to understand that that corridor study will not, it might not be in full sync with the schedule and timeline and sequencing that we are expecting for CPAC.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's something that's potentially an implementation activity that would have to be taken up, by the city, by the Planning Commission, and so. But it makes sense to sort of think about it in the frame of this update of the community plan. So I understand what you're saying, Kim. I think that's right.
Okay, Ida, go ahead.
Excellent, thank you. And just to recap, we are on pacing and a good kind of strategy as we scoped, heading into winter 2024, winter 2025 with research and plan development. Into spring and summer of 2025, we will be, as we illustrated in the Gantt chart, producing drafts, draft chapters, and issue areas for community feedback, for leadership feedback, and then working towards that July 2025 date for having refined the work enough for you all to move forward. And then into that fall 2025 and beyond, this is when that handoff phase really starts. And I think is so excited about this project and the team assembled is because of ETBB's engagement in this process and the great work of the CPAC committee. We want this to be really warm and smooth handoff from our contracted plan development into implementation for the team. So that's our goal.
Okay, final questions, committee? think we're, Ida, great presentation. A lot of meat and potatoes there. Appreciate that. Kim, thank you for your efforts updating this Gantt chart. I think there was a lot of good content there. The committee has some work to do, obviously, and we'll pull together these emails and start conversing on that. Mayor, any final thoughts? And then we can let them go up there. You're good?
Yeah, I think, good progress. Glad to be at the conclusion of phase 2 and ready to embark on the next phase. So, thanks, everyone, and really appreciate all the excellent efforts.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kim. I do want to say, I mentioned it while you were here, but thank you for round 2. I had mentioned earlier before Christina was here, but Christina's taken a kind of a different stab at doing the minutes of our meetings, and it leaves a lot of content in the record, and I think that's very well appreciated. I'd like to commend you on your efforts, and thank you so much. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Okay, I think we have, everybody has a copy of the draft vision statement. We can update, let's see, we can update the commissioners tonight. I'll make sure that they have one of these in their packet, so we don't have to go through the whole. We kind of hit on the keywords before. I got a copy of the presentation. We can make sure that they all have those documents. The historical part, I'm going to lean on our two, Richard and you, Logan, a little bit. Is there anything, I know just kind of, I kind of did a quick drive-by, or Kim did, but I think there's some kind of hardcore historical pieces we don't want to leave out, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm recalling there was a book that I saw. We'll check and see if we've got it here in the city files. There was a book that was developed around a bike trail. And so there is something around the historical bike trail, and it actually references 25 or 30 important sites in Townsend, in somebody's mind. And so it might be a good reference. And so I don't know if it was created ahead of the bike trail or just after the bike trail. The idea was you could ride around on the bike trail, and here are these important things, to see. If you think about it, there's important stuff in the river. You might not even appreciate it, but if you look out there on the bridge at Webb Road, there's still concrete foundation pieces in there from Lawson's Mill. And there's a very nice poster, I think it's been retained, where they take out for the tubes now. But there's a lot of things that people might not really sort of understand. Just looks like a rock or a hunk of concrete or something that might be interesting. Now, have to be.
I saw there's one of those signs. It's a brown, it says Townsend Historical Trail or something.
Yeah.
I think it's down towards the covered bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we can get assistance. I know Don Hedrick has lots of knowledge of these historical things here in Townsend, so we might prevail upon him to provide some assistance.
Well, I think there's ones we don't want to miss,
Not to-
for sure. Logan.
I was gonna say, I know the Heritage Center had something to do with that along the walking trail, and they're also working on updating just some of the images on there, just because of the
Okay.
weathering. So that would be a good resource to go through.
Don, can we access you guys for some knowledge and to make sure we don't miss?
Herb Hanley had instigated this with the visitor center years ago. They had a walking bike trail numbered in each individual site, explains. Herb Hanley.
Okay,
I think it was fair.
is that right? Okay, all right.
Herb was involved in that,
Yeah.
very much so.
Okay.
The signs, we got a grant.
Microphone? Thank you.
The signs, we got a grant to the Heritage Center.
Okay.
Put up large signs And that information was taken from what Herb Hanley, and they think they had a committee.
I think Herb's project was before.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what was used to
Yeah.
create the signs.
Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like we have enough.
And Herb's still local, correct?
Yes.
I haven't seen her in a couple of years, so, okay.
Okay, well, let's make sure we cross paths there.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna say, is that, last month when we had, Mr. Talley and Mr. Myers and, Sandy and, Don, it just was really interesting to hear all that history that you guys do have, and I would love to have just a night or an hour or two just to hear it all, if, you guys would be willing to do that.
I think it's now, like the mayor was talking about, Fred Lawson had put that sign on the other side where they take the tubes out, where the Lawson mill was, and the concrete and all that. You know, it would be nice to get, maybe expand on this kind of walking trail, bike trail, and a few more, you know, if it has 20 stops, you know, maybe add a few more that we're, you know, collectively interested in. And that maybe got missed or have come to light, you know. I don't know about the whole Dolly Parton, whatever you call it down there. I've never heard it called that, but it's always been where they had the square dances. Yeah, Technology Village.
Yeah, Technology Village, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of important things in
Yeah,
our history
there you
that, you know, people come here, people still remember, you know, these things, and it's a really important part of who we are. So we should spend some time
Yeah.
on doing that.
Really, I mean, and crossing T's and dotting I's. Okay. All right. I think we got everything. Committee, let me circle back to the draft vision statement. And I want to make sure that if there was any comments from you guys, I see Houston's got some notes already, so we'll just kind of start with whoever raises their hand first. Ready, set, go? Okay. I recognize Houston.
I want to ask about this first sentence we have in the draft vision statement, where it chooses to define three different parts of the community. It says the citizens, the small business owners, and the leaders of Townsend. And I'm curious if we can explore like why we're choosing to define those three different groups that way. I believe that, you know, my personal opinion is that sows division, that shows that we're distinct, different entities, when in fact, you know, we're not. We're all people that care about Townsend. We're all people that are here doing this process to work towards a future for this town. And so I'm curious if I'm missing something here about why we distinguish the three.
No, I think you make a good statement, and you can see it's definitely from that direction. We, the people of Townsend, cherish our small town charm. I mean, you can really kind of collectively, any thoughts on that? Or anybody have any?
I don't have any problem with it is, but I don't have any problem with the new way either.
Yeah.
I think you could also leave in the leaders of Townsend, because that is what should be shepherding this project through the.
Well, so, yeah, and partly, but it was a crowdsourced exercise.
Yes.
Mayor?
Yeah, I think there was a question somewhere in the comments we received, you know, about who is this vision statement, who's articulating this vision statement, and in the future, you know, it's probably going to be important for people to know that, you know, the citizens did have input on this. You know, that our local businesses had input on it, that the, you know, the leaders, of course. I mean, essentially, this document will be a document of the city of Townsend. The city of Townsend is the, you know, ultimate owner of these documents. But for the vision, it's important, I think, to reflect that. And I think it was an attempt to answer the question. Maybe it could be improved upon, but I think that's where the
Actually, I like that. I like that explanation. You know, it's not necessarily to define groups that are different everywhere, but rather to document who was a part of the process. You know, as we move through it. So I can understand that.
Anybody else? Any
And
Anybody make any notes going through?
Well, I guess then the next question for you, Mayor, is maybe, is it comprehensive citizens, small business leaders? Are we missing anybody in that group?
Well,
Co-residents would be.
yeah, I think it's probably not like, you could probably create an exhaustive list. I think it's got the main people there. You know, I think we got, you know, also input from people that visit Townsend, so visitors are not in there, but the main stakeholders for this that provide direction to the community, I think you've got them represented here, so. I don't think it would be, you know, necessary to have an exhaustive list of who all was involved. Otherwise, you start to have a description of the process, which hopefully we'll have that documented somewhere else. But this has got to be, you know, clear, it's got to be succinct, it's got to be part of, an integral part of the community plan, so.
Okay, wanted to make sure that, if you guys had any notes, Mayor?
I got one explanation. If people saw a little change in there, ancient people of the code. And so, who are these ancient people of the code? That's how they're referred to in the book about the Big Dig. And so there's a book that was written when we had the Big Dig, and it's in the title of the book, Richard, I think you can correct me, is Tuckaleechee Cove. But there were people here before the Cherokee. I mean, you can think about the Cherokee as being fairly modern inhabitants of Tuckaleechee Cove or the Cove. And so it talks about, if you look at those signs go up down, you know, Eastern Woodlands people. So the ancient people of the Cove is how they refer to it in that book, as all those people that came before the Cherokee that inhabited this area. And that's part of our cultural history. It's part of what those signs, you know, address as well. And if you, you know, look at sort of our archaeological policies and things like that, you know, it's a lot of those artifacts that were made by those people that, you know, 10,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago, that, you know, we have some interest in being able to be respectful, preserve, you know, as we can.
One thing I could add to that, the parks building down here that they had a lot of artifacts from 5 national parks. There's also, this became the #1 human dig in North America because human artifacts were found that date back to 9,000 BC. So there were ancient people here. Cherokees were only here for around 700 to 800 years. So that we have probably the biggest diamond in North America right here in this valley. And it's because of the ancient people.
Any other comments from the committee? Questions? Okay. All right, we will go to the community. I'd like to ask if there's anybody out in the community that would like to make a statement, add any input. Feel free to come to the microphone. State your name. Ready, 1, 2, 3, go. All right, listen, we thank everybody for coming. If there's no comments, you can still go back to the city's YouTube channel and review this, make notes. If you think of something that needs to be injected, come back to the next meeting or bring it to the planning or the commissioners. Sandy, yes, please come to the microphone. Absolutely.
I'm Sandy Frederick. I live in Townsend. I couldn't hardly pass up a chance to get to come and talk. I don't want anybody else to get ahead of me. Forget that. The statement is looking good on the vision statement. It is looking good. There's just one thought. It's very, we will do this stuff. Like the hammer's down and we will do this. So I'm thinking maybe to the best of our ability with the resources that we have in a reasonable endeavor, so that if we, just to say that we will, we don't care how the heck you do it, but just we will. I think we need to consider a little bit more about the abilities that we have and what is reasonable with the resources that we have. That's my only thought at this.
No, that's a good point. I can circle back with Ida and see maybe there's some other examples of language for that. Particular. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
All right, all hearts and minds are clear. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.